Hey, it's Sterling K. Brown from the Hulu original series Paradise. The next chapter begins as Xavier's search for his wife takes him above ground, and what he finds will change everything. It was never just about the bunker. Tune in and discover the truth lies outside. Paradise, the official podcast, is now streaming, and stream Paradise on Hulu and Hulu on Disney+.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of Spin, Shuffle, Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel. You know, when it comes to tribute albums, I'm kind of hit or miss because you get some covers, some renditions that are so ridiculously fantastic that you're like, yes, yes. And then you get some that are like, no, why? Luckily, this album has a whole lot of hell yes. We're talking about This Is Your Life, a tribute to Ronnie James Dio. And here to go through this little bit of music, this little slice of heaven, Lyle Robichaud is back on the show. Lyle, how you doing, man?
Jason, I'm doing fantastic. Can't wait to get into some Dio covers. Big fan of Dio. So I was not aware this album existed until you broached this as a subject for a video. So it was a super fun little trip to go down, including some of the coolest artists of all time, covering another of the coolest artists of all time.
Yeah, let's just put things into perspective of who we're going to be talking about soon. Appearing on this album, Anthrax, Tenacious D, Adrenaline Mob, Hailstorm, Motorhead, Scorpions, Doro, Killswitch Engage, Metallica, not to mention members of Judas Priest, Quiet Riot, Slipknot, Steel Panther, and so many freaking more. Like, it is a monster collection of musicians. But of course, we're talking about Ronnie James Dio. So I'm not surprised because he is one of the most well-respected and dearly missed voices of metal.
I would say a godfather of metal for sure. Like, if you're talking people who invented the genre, it is him and the members of the original formation of Black Sabbath. Basically, like in short order, that's basically the Mount Rushmore of the creation of this genre back then, which would splinter off into what I would say metal probably has more subgenres than any other type of music out there, right? And it all started with like this kind of style, like the Dio style of things. So yeah, it's not surprising to see that so many of the other godfathers of the genre would come together and make something like this.
Well, especially members of the power metal genre, because Rainbow and Dio, and of course, Dio's era of Black Sabbath really brought that to the surface of everything. And by the way, if you want to talk about metal genres, just go watch Metal: A Headbanger's Journey, the documentary made by Banger Films. It breaks down everything in such a way that you sit there and go, damn.
Yeah, it's a whole fandom, I would say, that, like I said, splinters off into subcategories that I know I don't know all of them. There's two or three bands that will call themselves, like, insert random adjective here, metal.
Mm-hmm.
And it is different from the other stuff, from the doom metal, from the stoner metal. There's shoegaze metal, thrash metal. Like, I could go on for half an hour. You just throw an adjective in front of there, and there's a 9 out of 10 chance that there's probably a metal associated with it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, let's not forget Viking pagan folk metal.
Viking pagan folk metal. I have not heard of
It
that
is
one either.
actually a genre.
I'm going to have to listen to some of this because I like everything involved in that sentence. I like Vikings, pagan, and folk metal. Like, yeah, come on.
Well, luckily you like Ronnie James Dio and you like tribute albums, so you're in the right spot today. But let's get you a little bit of background on this album. Released March 25th, 2014, 4 years after Ronnie James Dio's passing away. Hit number 2 on the Hungarian charts and number 25 in Finland. At the 57th Grammys, Neon Nights, performed by Anthrax, was nominated for Best Metal Performance, but lost to another song on this album, The Last in Line, won by Tenacious D. Now, I'm going to ask you, Lyle, okay? Your thoughts on a cover song winning a Grammy?
I think it's fair game. I don't see anything wrong with that. Some of the biggest songs of all time are a cover. Like when you ask me that question, I immediately think of I Will Always Love You being covered by, Whitney Houston when it was originally by our Lord and Savior, Queen Dolly Parton.
Right.
So, to me, it's fair game. I don't think there's any issue with somebody else kind of taking the ball from somebody else using their song and taking it farther than they could originally take it. As long as it's getting out there, right? The person who wrote it originally is still getting the royalties, still making their money. So I think it's completely fair game. I love covers. So I really like tribute albums and I really like covers because there's a really interesting, formula that happens there. When you get a band, a lot that happens on this album, in fact, that usually is a kind of a different style. And then they take a song by somebody who's kind of out in left field for their, forte. I think that is one of the coolest things in music.
I did a little bit of research here, and just in the best metal performance category for the Grammys, this was actually the third time, to my knowledge, that a cover song won the best metal performance Grammy. Prior to this, 1991, Metallica wins for a cover of Stone Cold Crazy by Queen, which I've heard that cover. Metallica owns that song now. I'm sorry, fans of Queen, but you have to give credit where credit is due. Metallica took it and freaking owned it. Then, in 2005, Motorhead won with a cover of a Metallica song, Whiplash.
Yeah, and I kind of think that they own that cover now as well. Rest in peace to Lemmy. But it's funny, with the Metallica thing, I go back to them also covering Whiskey in the Jar, which is a sonnet, which is like an English text from forever ago and has been around for like ever. And that's kind of theirs now too. So this all plays to what we were talking about. A cover can easily make it on its own, even though it's not the original.
Yeah, and even prior to that, Thin Lizzy covering Whiskey in the Jar as well.
Yeah.
But also, in 2009, Ministry was nominated for that Grammy for their cover of Under My Thumb. In 2014, Anthrax was nominated again for their cover of AC/DC's TNT. And 2024, Ghost was nominated for their cover of Iron Maiden's The Phantom of the Opera. So it's not out of the realm of normalcy for a cover to be nominated for a Grammy. I'm definitely more okay with the idea of a cover being nominated than a live song being nominated.
Yes, I completely agree. But if you look, it's funny. There's a very interesting pattern of all of the ones you just covered, all the instances of this happening and it kind of making it big. You have to be in some pretty rarefied air in the first place to take a cover and give it legs far beyond, what it already had, like Ghost covering Phantom of the Opera by Iron Maiden. Like if it gets to a point, I think, where it also depends on how big the band was that made the song in the first place. Because some songs get huge and people don't even realize they're a cover because, the first version didn't necessarily chart that high. But, it takes a band of the caliber of Ghost to take something from Iron Maiden and fire it higher up to the top than it was before.
Yeah. You also have to have some fairly large metal cojones in order to say,
yes,
we're going to take this classic Iron Maiden song and own it. And they did. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to take 3 songs off of this Ronnie James Dio tribute album each. A spin, a shuffle, and a skip. The spin, of course, is the one that we hold in highest regard. The shuffle is one that, it's still okay. And the skip is one, It may not even be a bad song, but just you got to play by the rules of the game and skip one song. So Lyle, I'm going to let you kick this one off with your spin pick from Ronnie James Dio, This Is Your Life.
I'll tell you what, Jason, I went into this and I expected Killswitch Engage's Holy Diver to be the one that, takes the top. That's an amazing song. Killswitch Engage is an amazing, pretty well legendary band in the space now in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, as a wrestling fan, shout out to the CM Punk theme song they did. That's now so very over. But my spin is actually Temple of the King, covered by the Scorpions, which I just wasn't expecting to be as good as it was, I guess. I saw their name on there and I'm like, yeah, that tracks. They're a pretty big band. But went out of it thinking that out of a lot of quality, because there was a lot of stuff fighting for the spin and the shuffle on this outing. Temple of the King by Scorpions is almost like a haunting version of this song. It's there's some soul in there. I really, really liked it.
I have a feeling this is going to be a fairly short episode. And I say that because I have a feeling we might actually be lining up on a lot of things. So, yeah, Temple of the King is actually my shuffle pick.
Ooh,
off of
okay.
this. And I say that because, like, Scorpions have always understood the assignment, no matter what.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even if you go back to their appearance at Roger Waters live in Berlin doing The Wall, they came in and they absolutely owned the very opening of this show. But here, what a perfect song for them. And Klaus Mein's voice, like, almost added such a wonderful storytelling aspect to this performance.
Yeah, it's almost it. I picture this playing in the back of like a medieval fantasy-esque movie, like, which is kind of exactly the vibe of Dio in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So they just hit everything nail on the head. You're right, but it is the Scorpions, so you expect it from them. They are, 80s royalty. There's a reason that most of their stuff still gets played at like every sporting event you've ever been to ever, because their music has that feel. It gets you pumped up. But this just fit like a glove for the source material, I think.
Yeah, I even think too, like, you take a look at songs like Winds of Change from the Scorpions, that kind of fits into the same mold of what they did with the Temple of the King.
Absolutely. I do think that we're probably on the same wavelength with this.
Which means my spin is the song that you didn't pick, frickin' Holy Diver by Killswitch Engage. And you're right, Killswitch Engage are so fantastic. This was actually the song that introduced me to Killswitch Engage back during the Howard Jones era on vocals with the band. And it's one of those things where I love the Howard Jones era of Killswitch Engage. Nothing against Jesse Leach. Nothing against it whatsoever. And I've seen the Jesse Leach version of the band live, and they kill live. But the Howard Jones era to me is pristine Killswitch Engage. And this song, again, taking a song, classic song, from a big namer and owning it in a way that you now look at the original and go, okay, that's okay, but look at this. Like, how do you take a Ronnie James Dio song and make it better?
Yeah, that's a tall order. And I think that's kind of where you hit the diamond, right? Like, that's where you get one of those songs that can go and win a Grammy, or can go on and kind of like eclipse the original fame. If you listen to it and you're, and it's funny because when I opened up the album to kind of look at the track list and see what we were working here when I was doing my research, my eye immediately went to that one. And I'm like, oh, right there. That one's definitely gonna make some ripples on the show when we get to it. Like, I knew it was gonna be somebody's spin or shuffle, if not both of us, without even listening to a single note of it. You just look at it and you're like, oh, yep, that tracks. On paper, that makes complete and total sense.
Yeah. I mean, this was going to be a toss-up for me for the spin pick between this and Neon Nights by Anthrax. Yes, I'm an Anthrax fan, and I am extraordinarily biased. I fully own that. Especially with Joey Belladonna back on vocals with Anthrax. That man can do no wrong vocally. And Joey Belladonna is one of the nicest freaking singers out there. Like, just a genuine gem.
I've read a lot of interviews that have collaborated that story, that have said that of all the people in the space, that he's one of the nicest, which is always good to hear. It's funny how these dark metal bands always produce some of the nicest people.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I've been fortunate enough to meet with and talk to Joey Belladonna a couple of times, and going to concerts and VIP sessions and whatnot. And it's like, yeah, he really is genuinely that nice of a guy. So it's hard to not pick Neon Nights, but even that version of the song, like Anthrax killed it, but you know who else killed it was Queensryche on their Take Cover album. But it's one of those things where Holy Diver became an entirely new level of performance in the hands of Killswitch Engage.
It did. And there's a couple songs on here that you could say that. I would say that about Temple of the King as well.
Mm-hmm.
TaxAct filing software and live tax experts can help small businesses easily knock out their taxes. Actually, our experts can help you find deductions and credits for any sized business. Itty-bitty businesses, medium-sized, really big, mid-sized, small businesses, companies with 0 employees, and mom-and-pop conglomerates. Yep, our tax experts can help all of them. TaxAct. Let's get them over with.
All right, so I've already done my spin and my shuffle, so it's back over to you for your shuffle pick.
This was one of the hardest decisions I think I've had to make on any of your shows, to pick between these two songs. One that I can't believe didn't make your list in any way, Straight Through the Heart by Hailstorm. Another one, as soon as I saw their name on the list, I was like, well, there's Jason's pick for something.
But no, it wasn't.
But no, it wasn't. And the one that went on to make the most waves publicly was Last in Line by Tenacious D. I still have them both on the list, so now is when I'm going to make the decision, I guess. I've thought about it, and I think I have to go by Last in Line by Tenacious D. We laugh about them. The movie was hilarious. It's a comedy. They are a comedy duo in many ways, but this is one of those songs that make you remember that Jack Black has pipes, and they can make something their own and sound really good doing it.
I remember listening to this song and just the melodic opening off of this, and I'm just like, oh my God, he came to play. Now, I'm never going to hold against anyone and any kind of inability to reach the vocal acrobatics that Ronnie James Dio was able to do. He was a legendary, generational talent on the mic. So I know I couldn't do anything close to anything what Ronnie James Dio did. So I'm not going to hold that against Jack Black. But they definitely approached this with almost like the honor of being able to cover this kind of song. Like you can tell, like they just held it in such high regard that, I mean, Tenacious D it's a comedy band, really, but they clearly took this to a whole level of heart when they did this.
You can tell on tribute albums when there is, you're right, almost like a feeling of reverence. You know what I mean? Like, to these people in a lot of ways, like, this is them going to church. Like, and you're in hallowed ground now, so you have to bring your absolute best, because it's not just, doing a gig or recording experimental stuff for your own album. Like, you're now here to step to Dio. And yeah, Tenacious D definitely knows their stuff and has some chops. Anyone that's seen the movie knows at the beginning of Tenacious D, young Jack Black prays to a poster of Ronnie James Dio, and he gives him the vision to go to California and find Kyle Gass. That's the whole Kickapoo song has a Dio feature on it, because, like, we're praying to this guy. So it's not surprising that when they did this, they put, I think, about as much as Tenacious D has behind it.
Yeah. I mean, when you tell someone that the guy who came up with La 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 Lava, Cha 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 Chicken, won a Grammy for covering Dio, some sentences just don't make sense, but yet here we are in the real world.
Here we are. But at the same time, I will say, he does a lot of funny stuff. Some of it hits, some of it doesn't, but he knows how to make it stick into whatever generation he's in. The Peaches song, going as far as it did too. Like, that's not, you could write that for anybody, but it takes a special person to make that work, be musically appealing, and also keep that funny undertone. And he does it really well in a lot of things.
All right, so now we get to our skip pick. So Lyle, and again, remember, these aren't necessarily saying that these are bad songs. I'm just saying that you have to pick one song to skip. What's it going to be?
I think this is a bad song. That's the funny part. It's Egypt, Chains Are Off by Doro. Just a miss of the mark. Not really my favorite Ronnie James Dio song either, and one that I wasn't really familiar with going into this. So I had to listen to this one, then go back and listen to the original. And I guess I just don't like the song.
Yeah.
But Doro, of course, Dio did it better. Not familiar with Doro, but yeah, this was just one that did not hit for me.
Yeah, and I think too, if you take a look at where it is on the album, like it's pretty much smack dab in the middle, but it's between the Temple of the King and Holy Diver. It is surrounded by freaking greatness. And nothing against Doro Pesch. I think her voice was actually fairly well suited to the song, but you're right. Like this was actually one of the songs that was on my short list for skipping, but it wasn't my pick because
what was your pick?
Shortly thereafter on the CD comes Catch the Rainbow.
Yeah.
With Glenn Hughes, Simon Wright, Craig Goldie, Rudy Sarzo, and Scott Warren. I don't know what it is about Glenn Hughes on this, but it's just like we're talking about songs by Ronnie James Dio, one of the greatest vocalists of his genre. And every single other singer on this album, even Doro, would I think have brought more to this song. Like the vocals don't rise to me at the moment. You take Lizzie Hale and you put her on this song and it slays.
Yes. 1,000% agree.
Joey Belladonna, it slays. Corey Taylor, it slays. Doesn't matter. Every other singer on this album, I think would have brought more to, and maybe it's just lost in the mix. I don't know. Because there are a number of different producers on it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple instances on the things that had multiple, people involved in it. Even the Metallica medley. It just feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen. There's too much going on with some of this. It shines a little better when you just give the mic to one other person or one other band and just, okay, go. Instead of trying to make it this, all-star game of look at all these names we have underneath the song. It must be fantastic. That's kind of what it felt like a little bit for a little bit of this. Not all of it, but like 3 or 4 songs on this. I'm looking at it like, man, it just seemed like everybody wanted to be involved and they needed a place to put them. So everybody get in and do We Are the World on Ronnie James Dio for this.
Yeah. I mean, I do love some of these albums where you have like just a bunch of musicians randomly put together and it's like, cool, we're just going to jam on the song that we all like. I mean, you take a look at Rainbow in the Dark, which is a fantastic cover on this. Corey Taylor on vocals, Roy Mayorga, Christian Martucci, Satchel from Steel Panther, and Jason Christopher from Prong. Like really, that's an all-star lineup on that song, and it shows, right?
Rainbow
but
in the Dark.
Here, yeah, it's also a really good song.
Yeah.
Catch the Rainbow, maybe not so much. But I mean, again, it's not like I'm not saying I could do better. I'm just saying I think someone else could have done better than what was done on this.
Especially with the list you had lined up for this album. I would have loved to know more about the production of this. Did they get to pick? Were they approached? Like that's what I'm wondering here.
Yeah. I mean, some of these songs did appear on, other albums. So it makes sense that they're on here, right? I mean, The Mob Rules by Adrenaline Mob, that was on, if I remember correctly, their initial EP that came out. Adrenaline Mob being one of those, little monster super groups that had like Mike Portnoy on drums, John Moyer from Disturbed on bass, Russell Allen from Symphony X on vocals. Like it was a monster lineup. And that's it's kind of a no-brainer to have, The Mob Rules as a song by Adrenaline Mob. I get it, but whatever. It worked for them, right? Neon Nights from Anthrax. I can't remember if that's been on an album or not. Obviously, Holy Diver was on an album for Killswitch Engage. But when you get these little monster lineups of artists all just jamming out with something, and maybe not necessarily artists that would normally play together, I kind of like that.
It's fun. It is. Like I said, the cover, the art of the cover, I guess is what I'll call it, is one of my favorite things in music. I love when this happens. I love when this perfect little storm, this little soup is made. And unfortunately, a lot of the times it does happen because somebody passes away. Call me when the Ozzy tribute album comes out and I will be there with bells on because something like this will happen. Like it's when that perfect storm of stuff comes together and you do get these huge mainline artists that are like, no, we already have stuff we've done by them, or we want to come into the studio and like kind of lend our voices to this. It's fun. It's super fun.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even if you take a look at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert, right? And all the performances of that, of all the singers joining with the surviving members of Queen. That was just a great homage to everything that Freddie Mercury was. And I still look at that as one of the greatest concert moments that I can remember. I wish I was there in person. I just remember watching the live broadcast on Much Music.
And even recently, when Ozzy passed away, I was very fortunate enough to see The Offspring 5 days later, like within the week of Ozzy passing away. And they brought out the guitar player and the singer from Sum 41 and did Crazy Train and Changes. And it was incredible. Like, it's like this moment where everybody comes together and all agrees, yeah, we're here to see so-and-so. There's this person opening up and there's a bunch of people in the crowd that are only here to see them. But everybody loves Dio. Everybody loves Ozzy. The artists love them too. So when they get up, and it's almost like this one singularity moment where everyone's like, oh yeah, Crazy Train. That's awesome. Like,
yeah. I mean, even like with artists that are still around, you take a look at Metallica's The Blackest album, which has all those covers by different artists of songs from the Black album. Like, it's amazing when that happens.
It is. Miley Cyrus did a great cover on that album.
As did Alessia Cara with The Warning.
Yes.
And The Who. The Who were fantastic on
that was a great album.
All right. Wow. Remind our listeners what your spin, shuffle, and skip picks are from Ronnie James Dio, This Is Your Life.
My spin was Temple of the King by Scorpions. My shuffle was Last in Line by Tenacious D, just inched out by a second over Straight Through the Heart by Hailstorm. And my skip was Egypt, Chains Are Off by Doro.
All right. My spin pick was Holy Diver from Killswitch Engage. My shuffle pick was The Temple of the King by Scorpions, and my skip was Catch the Rainbow with Glenn Hughes on vocals. Lyle, thank you so much for this. Now, please remind our listeners what you've been up to and where they can find you out there on the interwebs.
I am still a producer at Anthem Sports Entertainment, so make sure to check out your TNA Wrestling every Thursday night on AMC.
All right, and to you, dear listeners, until next time, you guys know the drill. If there's an album that you want us to cover on Spin, Shuffle, Skip, or an artist that you want us to cover on There Can Only Be One, hit us up on social media at OnlyOneCast or go to our website at notthatbadcast.com and prepare yourself, because we are preparing a brand new show on this channel called Track One Mind. Don't worry, it's coming very, very, very soon, and you're going to love it. Until next time, he's Lyle. I'm Jay. You guys are awesome. This is Spin, Shuffle, Skip on the There Can Only Be One podcast channel, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Take care.